Guys, I'd like to introduce two of my colleagues, my fellow developers. Obviously, I'm still their mentor and hopefully will be for a long time to come. But these guys have surpassed just the student role now and are actually fellow property developers. So welcome, guys. Would you guys like to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about who you are and what your relationship is together, and also a little bit about your company?
Sure. I'm Sue Keros. Our company is Serene Property Group. And this is my daughter, Olivia. And we started Next Level because we wanted to create a family business that I could have structures set up and things set up in place, and that we could have members of the family come in and do projects with.
How does it feel working with your daughter?
Well, I love it.
No, it's great working with Mum. Yeah, it's great working with Mum. She's had many years of experience and has the luxury of doing this full time. So I'm slowly moving in that direction as well.
I think, I mean, we've spent a lot of time together and mentoring you to think about this new business as a business where it serves in the best interest of the business. So is that just first off there how you guys work? Like you've got two decisions well, you got one decision to be made, but two ideas, right? So do you operate like that where you can actually, well, I suppose, workshop it from a business perspective instead of just what do I want or what does she want type of thing?
Yeah, totally. I think, again, being family, sometimes that can be, you can overlook certain aspects, but I really value Olivia's opinion and I love her input. So I'm conscious of, before I make a decision or whatever, that I say to her, what do you think? Have a look at this, So we do work it together, don't we? And particularly this week, we've been working on an exterior design for a group of townhouses, and we've really been working on it together, haven't we? It's been very much a joint effort.
I think one of the things that we've all learned, I've been taught in it, and I've taught you guys about it now too, is to always have those decisions when you are a property developer and you're working in a team of people, to be out there and put them out there to everyone else that's in your team, but also be thinking at the end of the day the final decision will be made by the market, right? And having a look at what's worked for before, because working in a partnership, right, and you guys are very closely working together, I think it's a very important point for people to get used to, that you can work together if you relieve yourself of ego and it's my idea, but more about here's an idea for the business. What does everyone else think about this? And then when it comes down to it, the ultimate answer will be what the public perception is, right? You might even have to go out there to the public. So I kind of like that, taking that onus away on myself and being able to put that towards a team. What about you guys? Have you gone like that, or how do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think the team aspect is really important, and I mean we do tend to agree a lot on things, but it's mainly just having an end goal, and like you said, it comes down to what's best for the company and what's going to sell at the end of the day, and what and that's always changing those things depending on what you're working on. But yeah, I think it's something that over time now we've been working together for over
2 years.
2 years now. Yeah, so I think you grow together as well and develop that better.
And we've learned this from you, Jason. This is one of the most valuable things that you gave us, is to put it as a business, so it doesn't become a personal thing of what you like. It becomes, we put it out to the agents, we put it out to people in the area where we're building, what do they all think, and then it still comes ultimately down to what we choose to do, but we look at it as a business, and that's been a fantastic tool that you've given us.
It is a tool, isn't it? Yeah, because it equalizes everything up within your business so that you can actually move ahead and go, oh, we both nutted that out and we found out what we liked and what we thought and then what the market thought. So that was really good. So when you guys started, how did you start this journey together? When was the decision to say, hey, we're going in this together? Or did you start first, Sue? Or what was it that made you say, hey, let's get the team up and do this?
Well, I've been in it for many years and doing different strategies and whatever. Did a very big subdivision here, which took quite a long time to do. But I really wanted, and Olivia really wanted, to come in and do some deals. So that was where your program just was so perfect, because it was those smaller developments. You don't have to go and do something big. you know, you can do nice, you know, safer, small developments and turn them over. And it was also the business model that we wanted.
What attracted you and what attracted Olivia? Can you tell me that to doing this and to really giving this a shot? Like for me, to give you an example, right? What attracted me to property development wasn't so much that I was unhappy in life or anything like that for my income that I was getting, but I was a cameraman, you know, that was what I used to do. And I just thought there's so much effort involved in this and I didn't have the return there and all my time was being taken up. And then when I looked at property, I thought, you know what I do? I kind of manage things around me. That's what I do. I manage, you know, as a cameraman, I manage all my gear and the shoots and everything like that. And really the job was just, after 10 years of doing it, was just getting a little bit boring, but more it wasn't getting rewarding. And then when I thought about property development, this is what made me do it. Okay. And maybe you've had a moment like this too, that you can share with me, but I saw a friend of mine that was basically spending half the time on the beach down at Bondi Beach, right? And like he was a top bloke and really nice bloke, still is. But then I said, well, I don't understand. I've got a job. I have to work 5 days a week, well, no, 7 days a week most of the time. How can you possibly do this? I mean, you don't have that much money saved up. You don't come from a rich family, anything like that. And he said, well, look, it's a property that does it for me. I just focused on finding out a strategy where property could bring me the income. And that was basically it. So as long as I just make sure I'm smart about the purchasing of property, then that'll bring the income. And so I can go surfing, you know, 3 days a week if I want to. And I was like, that's it. That was pretty, I just remember that process of, I was just like, okay, I'm going to do my job, but no, that's the lifestyle that I want. What about you guys?
Well, I think for me, because we're in the film industry and so the work is very spasmodic, comes and goes. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. And we just needed something else on the side. And the real estate was perfect for that vehicle to be able to do something on the side. And then also I think as a parent, you want to be able to help your kids, and the market is very tough to get into. You need a lot more money to get into the real estate market today. So it's a way of helping them to manage it as well and to get ahead. What about you?
Yeah, well, I still work in the film industry, in costume, and it's definitely got its ups and downs, but I've been doing it over 10 years now. And although there's a lot of work flowing at the moment, it's the hours and the inconsistency. And for me, moving into the next phase of life, I don't see how that's sustainable. So property is always, I mean, we've moved a lot as a young kids, and mum's always renovated and developed, and I've always been interested to see, you know, a home change and you know, grow into something else. And I think it's always been an interest of mine. Like it's definitely something
I think we definitely are interested and we love it. I think that goes for anything, that when you're good at something, you do love what you do, and we love what we do.
Both of you have learned skills that makes you very different from property investors out there, right? Because it's hard. I mean, I call myself a property investor. You guys do as well. But you're kind of like in this, it's like a driver. Everyone can drive a car, right? So driving a race car is driving a car. Do you know what I mean? So it's like putting everyone in the same boat as property investor. Well, we're all property investors, but we're actually the race car drivers, right? Because we actually create the car. Instead of just going on and buying a property and waiting for someone else, we found that there's so much more advantage in creating the property. You know, instead of just trying to buy something and fix it up, actually creating the property from scratch gives us so much more wealth from it, and also allows us to actually tap into like a challenge, I would say, you know, a challenge where you're kind of set, okay, I've got to produce a brand new property. It's got to look fantastic. Where do I got to buy it from? That's a challenge. How do I build it? Who do I use? And then the selling it is a challenge. And I find that challenge in itself really exciting. What about you guys?
Yeah, I guess that's the reason we love it, isn't it?
It's discovering that there's not just one way of doing things, I think, is also really exciting, because I've only learned in the last few years there's hundreds of ways to get around things and do things, and that's the exciting part, because there's lots of possibility.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so let's get into it a little bit more, a bit deeper now. So you know, what were some of the roadblocks that you can tell other people just in property development that you've come up against and you've overcome, and how did you overcome them?
I guess the biggest roadblock you come up with is finance. And that's where having mentors and being part of a group, you know, a good group that that have quality people that work with them. That allows you to have, you know, good accountants around you, good brokers around you, you know, and then that's a team that you need to start with.
Would you agree that once you've learned it and you've seen how the finance works, either private equity or what type of borrowing is available to you, once you've kind of gone through that process, had the right people, copied a formula that works, would you agree then it's just pretty simple to understand that there's always money there just to know the process to get it? Because now that I've gone through those loopholes, we're trying to figure out, well, where am I going to finance it? And then when I figured out how to do it, it's not an issue anymore. I always know that there will be, this is the 3 ways that I can do it, and it doesn't worry me anymore. What about you guys?
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because we're working on another site at the moment. It's going to auction on Friday, and hopefully we can get it. We've got a long settlement. We've worked out how to do all that part of it. We don't have the finance for it, but we know we can go ahead and have the finance. So we need to get the deal locked in for us. And once we've done this due diligence this week, yeah, we know if we go ahead and buy it on Friday, we know that we've done the right thing, and yeah, we know we'll get the money.
And I think that's pretty exciting about the purchasing side of it, right? I can think of all the stories I can tell you about times that I've actually gone in, like my last story I've had in purchasing a property was there was a site, it came up, it was awful house on it. It was pretty much was full of ants or something, or just junk inside it, right? So I knew from that point on that this wasn't even going to be a renovated thing. It was just holding up by some, it wasn't asbestos, but, you know, plasterboard and that type of stuff. So as soon as I got there, I went, hey, this property I'm in the right market now, because I know the renovators aren't going to be able to do anything like this. The builders probably don't even want to take this stuff away, because it was to demolish it or take it away. They prefer just a clean site. And I thought, okay, this is a property developer block. So immediately I cut out 99% of investors out there. And I said, look, I don't mind paying a little bit more for it. But then I got in a discussion with the real estate agent, and I put in my offer, which I thought would be, you know, probably about 20,000 under what I was prepared to pay. And then they've kind of come up with that whole story of, oh, there's another guy, you know, there's another guy who's paying 5,000 more than that. So I kind of went up to the offer, what I wanted to pay for it. And then he just kept coming back saying, oh, okay, well, you're going to have to come up a little bit more. You're going to have to come up a little bit more. And I kind of got to the point where I was just like, you know, what is this? Like, this is a Dutch, you know, auction or something like that. Like, what is the price you want for it? It's going to go for, because I'm not going to just keep calling you and go 5 grand, 5 grand, 5 grand, you know, tell me the price you're going to go for. And he's like, oh, well, that's just the way it works. You're going to have to play the game. And I said, well, actually, no, I don't have to play the game. I'm out of here, you know, and then it didn't sell. It's still on the market. So it was all this type of tactics. And it's sometimes that ability to be able to walk away from stuff and then let them chase you around. Have you had anything like that? Any stories you can share with us about acquisition, or anything you kind of said, oh, it was good, but then it wasn't good? Or what do you reckon?
There are so many deals out there, and you can make the work. So when you've got the knowledge behind you, I think it takes away that urgency. You know, you know what you're going to pay for it, and if it goes over that, you just walk away. And we find that very reassuring, because, you know, you're not caught up in that whole emotional side of, oh, we've got to have it, we've got to get it, we'll pay more. No, if we don't get it, we've got our eye on 3 others at the moment. We'll just keep working through to see which one comes good next.
Yeah. So without disclosing the address or where it is or anything like that, because it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. What about the last deal that you secured, that 4-pack of townhouses? Tell me about that. What was the process with that one? And how did you celebrate once you knew you had that over the line? And what was the owner, or what was the real estate? What was the story? There's always a story behind it. I love hearing this.
It came to us, that one. We'd put so many offers in on so many things, and we'd missed out, and then this one came across the table, and I rang and spoke to the agent. It was on the market. There was another guy really interested, and he was looking at putting a different product on to what we were. So, and he wouldn't go over a certain amount of money, and the owner wanted 10,000 more. That's what she wanted. So when we spoke to the agent, I just said, well, I'll give her 10,000 more. So we did, and we got the deal. So it just sort of happened. I think it was sort of meant to come to us, that, you know, it happened. And it was funny because then the designer and the builders that we spoke to had actually been quoting on exactly the same site with the other guy who was looking at it. So when we went to them and said, we've got this site, can you have a look at it for us? They went, we know the site.
Yeah. So what is your plans for that site there, and have they changed a little bit? Tell us about what is going to go on there, as in are you doing townhouses? Are they 3-level? Are they 2-level? Do you know how many square meters? What do you have to have on that townhouse site to make it sell? What are the features that you're going to do with that one?
It's 4-level townhouse. They have lifts in them, which is something in the area that, a lift in each one. So we haven't made it optional. We may do when we get to that point, but at this point we're putting the lift in. They have rooftops, which are lovely, aren't they?
So yeah, we're in the process of design for it now.
Yeah, the rooftop. So one of the options that I've seen before is the lift going from the car park up to the first level, the second level, but not to the rooftop. I've seen a lot of times that they've done lift to one, so it makes it easier on those things that you're going to go to daily, and then done stairs up to the rooftop, like a spiral staircase or something, because it's not always used every single day. So that was a bit of a cost saving that I've seen in the past. But funnily enough, most elevators have to actually have some type of mechanism from the top to actually draw them up, like a pulley, right? So most of the time they're up on top of the roof anyway. You see a building, you often see this little, looks like a chimney, but it's actually like the elevator thing. So sometimes that can help having that go to that extent up there. So as yours going to, have you thought about, will it go from the garage or the second level, or will it go right to the rooftop?
Yeah, it's going to go to the rooftop. We did look at yesterday, there was this whole discussion about whether or not it should go on the balcony, just go to the 3rd level, but we actually don't have the room. So we're going to take it to the roof. I think for the clientele, the market that we're aiming for, they will like it to the roof. They're on the luxury side. We've made a really good walk-in pantry. So because the living area and the kitchen is together, we've taken most of the working things from the kitchen and put them into the pantry area. So the walk-in pantry is very large, so that it keeps your living and kitchen not so busy. You can do there's a lot more room around in the pantry.
That's important, isn't it? Because that's where you want to clean, right? You want a clean bench. And if you got all this food all around, that's often going to look messy because all the packets are different sizes, and you're there to worry about trying to match all your stuff together. Then I have to clean the coffee machine every day, So that, I think that is a good point to do that. What about, so from that point of view, what about any other particular features that you'll be doing? Will they be sliding doors, or will there be crescending doors, or you got some skylights going in? Anything else?
It's funny, we were looking at the design just earlier this morning. We did have stacker doors, but we're actually thinking we may do bifolds. We're just going to see. We're just finalising the design process now, and then we'll go to the costings next week. So when we go to costings, there'll be, again, a few more changes, just, depending. We're also putting in some louvered windows, which are great for ventilation. So those things are really good. And being a 4-pack, the front one and the back one, obviously the front one will face the street. The back one also has a different aspect. So we're sort of designing them quite differently. So they'll, to take advantage of their position on the block.
Great.
So all, and council actually wanted that too. They want them to be a little bit different. Yeah,
I found that often as well. That council that you're dealing with is not the hardest either. They're not so fussy about the private open spaces with big gardens on the bottom levels and all that type of stuff. And this basically comes through the history of the area being mainly units. They kind of get used to that whole idea that people don't always need to have this huge open space in their backyard. Where it's funny because places, we're thinking more, Queensland style, but you go down to Melbourne and they suddenly want everyone to have these huge, big open spaces. So it can be very different to different councils to what you can achieve. And sometimes I've done it many times, just jump, not so much states, but councils, and to just kind of achieve what I want to achieve. Are you doing any hanging plants that coming off the balconies or anything like that?
Yeah. Yes.
You are?
Yeah.
And will you put the barbecue outside? Or you got a barbecue area? Will that go on the roof? Or you got any swinging chairs or anything else?
We're actually quite restricted from the roof, what we can put up there, because we're not allowed to put a fixture, a solid roof. We can put pergolas, but we aren't allowed to put any solid roof up there due to wind. So that sort of thing. But so we're just seeing whether we'll put the barbecue on the first level or on the second level or the third. See what we can get away with. We've pushed the boundaries a little bit at the moment. So we've had a pre-lodgement meeting, which went really well, but we'll just see the next step, what they let us get away with and what they won't.
That's a fun part of
it.
It's
good to ask. ask for a bit more, and then you've always got a bit of room to come back from. So that's something I learned from you, Jason.
And Olivia, this process that you've gone through with this particular one, what's the fun bit that you remember about it? What's one thing that you can tell us that you had a bit of an input in, or that you really liked about it? Was the design of it, or what was it?
Yeah, well, because we're currently back and forth with the design at the moment. I mean, that's the most exciting part, when you get, your 3D render back from the sketch. I think making decisions based on our initial the sketches that were coming through from the design director, that was kind of very hard to visualize. But I think it becomes exciting when you finally are in the direction you want it, you want it to go, and then you can start fine tuning all the little things to make it, reality, I think.
I think the biggest thing that I always change around is the bathrooms. I don't think
we did that actually. Yeah, we did. We did play around quite a bit with the bathroom.
Olivia's got great, I guess, being in design herself, she's got a great eye for all of that. So that's why I really love her input. And, it's great doing all the research, putting things together, what you like, what might work if you can afford it. Yeah.
Fine-tuned the area, I think. We went into a lot of, we kind of had our ideas from already examples of other townhouses and luxury homes, which, just confirms what they are after in the area. So that was useful too. That gives you ideas to know what to put into your own development.
Yeah, then when you got the floor plans done, then comes the exciting bit, which I know Amy loves doing, which is picking all the fixtures and finishes. Every time, like I'll go into her office and there'll be a tap, 2 or 3 taps there, or some tiles there, and I'm like, oh, she's having fun now.
Yes, that will be good. We're not up to that point on this project yet, but soon.
Yeah, that's great. So let's look at your journey also. So some of the things that you've been involved in, you've obviously done your own renovations, and you're actually in one of them now, right?
Yes, we built an office. We built this office that was on my vision board, and it came true. It's all part of the, the professional approach, the business approach. It's having an office with systems working where we can come, and it just happens. We're lucky enough that we can have it here at home, and it's a great space because you can actually also leave. You can leave the office behind you and go, into the house.
And the skylights are great. I think everyone's looking at your office right now going, why don't I have an office like that?
Put it on your vision board, it works.
Okay, it will be on there. My office is just on the beach. I'm actually on the beach now. It's just it's funny how much I do that now. I'll just have stuff to do, and I won't do all my work there, but I'll have something to do, and I'll just grab the laptop and go and find a bench and sit on the beach, and then have half an hour there, then come back to the real office just to feel like I'm living that life on the beach. At least I'm there for half an hour a day. That's okay for me. So I think that's a good thing to do, right? Shift the office around a little bit, like go to a cafe and do that little bit of work or bit of research, and it makes it a bit more fun. Because I mean, being a developer is pretty much could just be living in the office the whole time. Like I've thought about being a developer from a lot of points of view, and you could literally not ever leave an office and still do pretty well, right?
That's true, but that is true. But I love the fact you could still in your laptop, you take it with you, and as you said, you can do it anywhere.
Yeah. And what have your friends thought? Like Olivia, what have your friends thought? Have you told them yet about what you're doing? And do they kind of go, oh, watch out? Or have they kind of gone, oh, that's pretty cool? Or do they go, oh, can I get a discount on one of your products? Which is what most of my friends say to me.
Oh, everyone's very supportive, but I don't think I have many friends who fully understand. They're just not of the mindset, to buy something old and transform it. Everyone kind of wants just the end product.
Yeah. So will you be selling them that at a discount?
Sure.
I think it's really funny because several of my friends I've done that for, like they're just too busy. They're kind of so set in what they're doing and they're happy in their career, and that's fine. And they've just said, look, if I can just get a little bit cheaper of it in the market, then I'd be happy. Can you help me out here? So it does give you that opportunity to do that too. The biggest thing that I got, Olivia, from when I first got into it is, and we started pretty quickly, got into 1, then got into 2, then got into 4, and suddenly we're in, 10 million and this type of stuff. And I'm still driving around my old Ford Ute, a big blue, like AU Ute. And everyone's going, where are you getting the money from? And it was just a simple fact of, I was just saying to him, well, this is the whole problem with property development. If I don't have the money in the bank, then all I've got to do is be able to pitch that idea of exactly what I'm doing, show my skills, show the proof, and then people will come along and invest with me. And this was the question I kept people wondering, where are you getting all this money from? Have you guys felt that as well when you suddenly go into property development, or when you will be, like, people will be start going, hang on a second, where do all the money come from?
I know. My husband in particular always says, "What do you mean you're buying another property on a Friday?" Okay, don't worry, it's okay. So no, but people do look at, but I think it's your history and what you have done. And, as I said, I liked your business model. I like your smaller deals, safe, good deals with a lot of due diligence done, knowing your area, knowing what you're doing, having your team behind you. It just makes it work, and you can be guaranteed a profit. I don't want to risk anything anymore.
And I think that area, like what you said before, the targeting area, right? So your latest development, what are the targets around it? Can you tell me that? Like, not naming shops or anything, but is there a cafe nearby? Is there Woolworths? Is there a train? Is there a beach? What are the key factors around it?
Yeah, it's very much within walking distance to a whole new development. Couple of new developments that are at one end of the block, maybe within 300 metres, 300 to 500 metres. The beach is on the other side with all the other shops. It's just in a great spot. There's transport, beautiful walking tracks all around. We did some lovely walks when we were there before. So, you can feel like you're in the middle of, you're in the middle of nature walking through some spots, and then you come around the corner and there's a lovely cafe there. So it's got a lot. It's a good area. It's got a lot to offer.
Yeah, I saw that just recently. Yeah, I was down at I was at Burleigh just recently. We just went there to the playground so the kids had somewhere to play. And suddenly I saw all these people walking past me and then disappearing around the cliff. And I'm like, is everyone jumping off the cliff? What's going on up there? But there's actually a bushwalk that it starts going into, And so it was like that. If you can find an area like that, that gives people that advantage where they can escape into nature and actually kind of tick off their list of, I've done my exercise this week. I think that's a big thing for people.
Yeah, definitely.
And food is very important. If you've got to have.
And I think being able to walk to have dinner and be able to walk home again. It's just a healthier, atmosphere, healthier lifestyle, and people want that. It's
Especially when you hit a demographic, right? If you hit a demographic and they're like, even 35 to 50, that's going to be an important feature to have those things, those cafes around as well. So that it does, the downsides, that's what they want, that access. So that's good.
Yeah, kids can walk there. Yeah, older people can walk. It's perfect.
Yeah, cool. So your journey into property development, we've done a bit with you so far. So you've done your renovation stuff, then you learned everything you could about property development, which was fantastic first, had a look at a lot of examples of what was around. And then the first thing that you've done is a rooming house in Brisbane, right? So that was to develop that rooming house and then market that as something that you could possibly hold or you could sell. And then you end up selling that rooming house to an investor that wanted to cash flow, right? And I mean, that just seems pretty simple, at the end of the day. I mean, we make it a bit complicated sometimes, but if you work from the end in mind of, you can have a product there that will sell to an investor and just go ahead and build it. It's not that hard a process to do, is it?
It was incredibly simple. We were building it to keep. That was our intention. So, but we just did get offered a good deal on it. So we thought, well, we'll sell. And we had it bought, built, sold within 10 months. So while we didn't make a huge amount, the profit, I think, on that was about 90,000, but for doing really nothing, it was just doing the deal itself,
Yeah, what sold it was the fact that you're able to produce a product that isn't available on a regular basis. You weren't selling a house, you weren't selling a unit, you were selling something that appealed to an investor, was the perfect thing of what would suit them, especially with self-managed super funds. Not that this one was, but that's the type of thing that if you can market something out there which has a niche that it's just not always available, you're pretty much going to always be able to sell it. And that's what I like about them as well. And you have now been through the process, so you can use that money towards a deposit for another one if you wanted to. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the second one that you've got going now, so the second deal that you've got is a splitter block, where you've got a block of land, take the house away and doing two. Is that right? With a partner?
Yep, subdivision. That's a JV deal that we're doing. So subdivision and 2 luxury homes. Again, a really good area, which is so important. But that's when you can't go wrong, when you can build and do those deals in those sort of areas. So 2 luxury homes. So really beautiful finishes. Just got that little bit extra, definitely, with them. So great area, great build.
Yep,
They're
so
about 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah. And it's funny, like you've done a lot of this during COVID, right? I mean, pretty much most of your developing started during COVID and has kept going through COVID. And it's funny, you kind of go, oh, geez, I should have done another 10 during COVID, you know. But obviously we were all limited, and other people's perception was limited as well. But we just know that what the industry we're in, if this goes on for another 10 years, we just keep doing it, right? Isn't that amazing? Like, it amazes me that my industry survives so well. And it's pretty much down to the government just going, hey, this is essential. And it's kind of shocked me a little bit, the demand and the supply is so little in Australia when we take away all the immigrants, right? So people aren't migrating to the country, yet house demand is still up. I mean, did that kind of spook you a bit and go, hang on a second, you know? Well, you hear those articles about low in supply, but we are really low in supply. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key again, is to be in a good spot, and I think that's where you do your due diligence and you know your target areas and what is there, because that's when you won't go wrong if you do choose the good areas. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most thing. And our deals are all done. We're in New South Wales. All our deals at the moment are in Queensland. So, I mean, yes, we have to go up, and we do, but we coincide that with meetings that we have up there with the next level. We coincide always when we're going up. We make sure we meet our builders and our town planners, and we meet our designers, and we always coincide meetings with those things as well.
And I suppose that's what we're learning now, do everything online, right, as well. Like, everyone's kind of going towards it.
I think COVID in some ways has actually helped that, because it has made, where we used to think we had to be somewhere in person, you actually don't have to be as much anymore. And I think people work differently now than they did before.
Yeah, and maybe your design has to have an office element in it as well, right?
Yeah. Well, we have allowed for that, actually. Our extra, the 3rd bedroom upstairs, we've actually designed it to either be with big doors as an office working area, or it can be closed up and used as a 3rd bedroom.
Yeah, and then the rooftop also. Like, we've got a few houses, but one of the houses we're in at the moment, we've got a full rooftop deck. And Amy and I work from home a lot of the time, and so I send her up to the deck a lot of the time to get away from me and do her office work on the deck, right? And so this could be it. Like, I wouldn't be calling that rooftop deck a rooftop deck. I'd be calling it a rooftop office. Put someone up, your
NPR, they call it, NPR is the thing, the multi-purpose room. So
tell the council it's a multi-purpose room. Get that approved as multi-purpose room. Then when you get it approved halfway building, then market it as, I think I used to do 3 types of pictures for one scenario, like for like a bedroom or an office or a gym type of thing. So I do different type of ways that you could have it. I know that we did one, it was a 12-pack, and on the bottom level of 4 of them, we had a separate entrance coming through, but we made that office. Then we put another photo up to be a children's room, like where they have all the toys and that. And then the 3rd room was just as a media room for your TV and entertainment system, right? So we actually posed to the person that they could use this multi-purpose room and showed them the multi-purposes they could use it for. We never called it a bedroom. We just called it the multi-purpose room, because then it would have been different with the approval process in a sense. But that's exactly what it's ended up being for a lot of people. And you kind of have to be thinking about that these days. You always got to have COVID in the back of your mind now, because even if it does all get solved, people are still working from home. And so I think I'd be interested now to see what type of visualizations you can come up with both together for that rooftop area, having the, maybe you're going to have like a beer fridge up there, and the laptop stand.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's funny because the property that we're looking at, hopefully we can purchase on Friday, we would be looking at putting a home gym in that as well. So we're looking at maybe enlarging the garage at one end and having that as a separate entrance from the other side, that people can use it as a gym from home. So like we're in full down in here in Sydney here at the moment. So this is when people, they want those extra things, you know, they need to work from home, they want to get away from the kids, and then they also want to be able to exercise. So yeah, it definitely changes the way we design things today.
Yeah. And I mean, your journey so far has allowed you to use your skills, both you as property developers now, done all the education in a good group of people, seen what everyone else was doing, learnt the strategies back to front. So you just think about it right now. Your journey has been rooming house, next strategy, split block, next strategy, townhouses. Like you've combined, you've been able to use a skill for 3 whole different strategies instead of just being the old style, just be Reno, Reno, you know what I mean? Isn't that amazing? So you've now got these, it's like you've got your tools, right, are filling up there where you can kind of say, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. You know, I'm sure it will branch out into things like childcare or Airbnb accommodation or student housing, all those type of things. Maybe it will be quarantine COVID stations. Who knows where? Because there's nothing. Once you know how to build something, right, then you can adapt it to different strategies. You know, if I asked you guys to go and do a commercial storage shed right now, I mean, it is still building, purchasing the land, finding the location, getting the finance on board. I mean, it really does open up so much opportunity for you, don't you reckon?
Oh, absolutely. I think once you start the process, you realise you can, as you said, you can put it towards anything. I think for us with the business model that we're looking at, so we've already got the 2 projects that we're doing, and one of them being a 4 townhouse one is the larger one. So we're looking at the next one being a duplex or a single luxury home. So
just to add another tool.
Yeah, just to put that one in there, which we can manage that one, and I think that's important too, doing what you can manage. So, but then when the townhouse is finished, that will open up room for a bigger development. So then we'll see, what we do next.
That's great. So I suppose if you had to start your time over again with the knowledge you have now, I mean, you've done subdivisions as well. So, you know, that's another tool thing. So, geez, we've got like 5 tools already there ready to go, right? And so then if you've got all those different tools, then you've got choice. So, you know, if you are restricted sometimes in the market where the prices aren't matching you or the suburb's not giving you that particular deal, then you can actually pull out your tools and you start to go, actually, let's just go to a subby, or let's go to a rooming in the meantime, or let's do a duplex, or let's do, this is what I find is really rewarding, right? Having those abilities to be able to use those multiple tools to be able to do that. And your own portfolio, I'm sure, will change as well. I know when we did it, we started changing our portfolio and started getting rid of our houses and just building stuff. Just suited us.
That's right. Yeah, and it's interesting seeing what people in the group are doing too with Next Level, because they are all doing different things, you know, and there are, you know, big projects as well as the smaller ones. So it's good to see what other people are doing as well.
And that's very different too. I think when you're in a community of people that are educated in property development, that you can start doing more of those deals where you can be the money partner or you can be the worker partner. Because if the money partner understands the deal and they just don't have the time, but they're looking for someone with passion, someone that can commit to it, then I find that is those type of deals happen a lot easier than just someone from the public investing in because they have no idea about the deal. So that's what I found with the community that we've had through Think Property Club and the multiple programs that we have, putting people together. If you have the right deal and you can display it to the group, it won't be hard to find an investor, right? Would you agree?
No. Yeah, that's right. Definitely. Because they are also a group of people that understand, and they can also evaluate things quite well too. So
quite quickly.
Yeah, and fast. That's right. So
that's what we need. Yeah. So just to end it off, tell me about, you know, what is your favorite property strategy, or maybe you haven't even done it yet, but what is the one that you have kind of thought, no, actually, I want to do it. For me, I think I love doing these rooming houses, so that's kind of become to my favorite strategy. What about you guys?
What's yours? I don't know. I love building. I guess for me it might be.
I mean, I would probably say the town, like our current project, which is the 4 townhouses, but probably because I'm most involved in that one at the moment. And I like the idea of being able to do multiples. So that's probably mine.
Yeah, and I actually like the subdivision, the splitter, the 2 luxury. It's really nice to be able to, they're all good.
And it'll change. It'll change over time, I'm sure. We did really big ones and they were fun, but I kind of love the idea of being able to see the family. So, having a family myself now, and a growing family, I'm always designing stuff and thinking, well, how would my family like to live here? These little things. And now that we've got kids, I'm always thinking, is there enough room? Where am I going to put the playset? Where can they put their trampoline? All that type of stuff, where someone that doesn't have kids won't even care about that. There was a property that I saw that did sell, that purely sold on the I don't know, cubby house or whatever out the back. So it was like a house. It wasn't in a tree or something like that, but it was a kid's one. And the house was okay, but this thing out the back was fantastic. And that sold the house because the kid went in there and didn't want to leave that house. So there can be those little features, right?
Yeah. I think a really big too is your landscaping, the outdoor rooms, things like that. They add a whole other dimension, which is great. People love that. Yes. So we always put a lot into that area as well.
Is that where you see the future too? Like, we're starting to see a lot of properties with a lot of gardens, like draping over balconies and those type of things. And we're starting to see materials used a lot, like natural materials come back in, like wood and that. Like, you think about all the 80s and the 90s where everything was just metal and hard edges and everything like that. Now I think it's done a whole flip, right? Would you agree?
Totally. In fact, what are our products we're using on the townhouses? The stone, the timber. Yeah, it's all beautiful, really lovely finishes. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's definitely changed.
Now we're going to end this off. Tell us a little bit about your company and what the vision is for it, and what are the type of things that your company builds. Or obviously we know a few things now, but and what's the type of offers you've cut out there for investors, and how do you like to work?
Serene Property Group has their own Facebook page. When we have our deals that come through, we post them on those. So for investors, we do have a group of investors that we offer things to first, because there have been people that have been loyal to us and like working with us. It's just a timing thing. Sometimes people might have gone into another deal, so they don't quite they're not ready when you're ready. So it's always working in. But we treat our investors, they get priority.
So what is the deal? Give me the deal that you do. So your job as Serene is to go and secure the property, do all the plans, put the whole team together, and then obviously have an investor on a lot of the deals come along. And what do they have to do? They supply the buying of the property, or just finance, or could it be a bit of both? What is your offer to the investor? But obviously you do all the work, right?
Yeah, look, every deal is different, and it depends on the size of the project. Sometimes you need 2 investors. Sometimes you could, if it's a smaller deal, you can do 1. So it just depends on the particular deal. We do the work, so we are the working party.
Do you report back to the investor?
We report back to the investors. We do a monthly report. We do photos every week of what we're doing on our webpage. Report back to them, with the photos of what's going on. As the deal's going on, we let them know the changes, things that happen. But yeah, we're the working party, so we do that, and we work for our investors. Sometimes we have done different deals where it's just literally, they might be a JV 50-50 partner. Sometimes we've just borrowed and taken an equity line of equity for someone and given them an interest payment. Each deal is different. They're worked on out differently. The
opportunity to the investor is that you can come up with a project, you'll go find the project, you'll do all the work, and then there's a few ways that they can get involved. And they'll get to know everything about property development because you'll be informing them, so they'll learn a bit of a process through it. But so it is a partnership, but at the end of the day, what they have to do is basically supply the funds and get involved from the point of view of being able to see what's going on a monthly basis. And I'm sure if there was stuff going on during the week, they'd do that. And then at the end, properties are sold, or the investor might want to keep one of them, depending on what it is. And then you work out a profit split between yourself and the investor. And then they can just keep doing that over and over again if they want to, right? And so they don't actually have to go through the trouble of the negotiating or the finding or dealing with the builders or anything like that. You take that away, but they can still enjoy the reward, the profits of it, right?
Yeah. Look, some of our investors want to know more and are more, tell us what you're doing, how's it going, whatever. our townhouse investor at the moment, he doesn't particularly want to know. He just wants his repayments made. He's very confident. He's got other deals that he's doing, so he wants to know that it's all going okay, is the bottom line. But we're happy to work, and however, if somebody wants to learn the processes we're going through, we're more than happy to share that too.
Yeah, and I think, like we talked about this last night, about the sensibility about working with someone like yourself, Sue, is that when you are a JV partner and you're a money partner and you're putting money into a deal, a lot of people think it's like chasing the highest profit. And we spoke about this, but really there's a person aligned to running the deal. And sometimes people forget about that, forget that a person has to run it, and the profit will not be there if that person doesn't have the time or energy to put into it, or they're too busy, or they're not attention focused. And I think one of the skills that you particularly bring to this is that you do have a team. So there are two of you over it, which is good. If I was a money investor, I'd be, that's great. There's two people looking over this. There's attention there. In case something happened to one person, the other person can jump in, just as a bit of reassurance. But on top of that, so you do have a family, you do have an income coming in. Your relationship is pretty rock steady. You're not going out to nightclubs every night. You can focus on one thing. With age comes wisdom, but also comes attention and focus. Can you relate to that a bit and tell us how you felt that's a trait?
Yeah, as I think I mentioned it before, I'm just not at a stage where I want to risk anything. We are where we are, and that's very important. So everything we do moving forward is rock solid in that, that deal. We know what we're doing, and that is fantastic having Olivia, and that's why I wanted to bring her into this whole business, so that there are two of us there working. If she wants to go and do something, or if I want to go and do something, we can, but the other person is there to support. But,
yeah. And you both know the same process.
Yeah, our investors are the same. People, they don't want to lose their money. They want to know that their money is safe and that the deals are secure. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, and there's a certain pride that comes along with that too, having that responsibility of having a money partner there. And I know that the deals that we do with our money partners are more profitable than the ones that we do ourselves, because that's the whole way that you get paid, the more profit. So you're constantly it's a profit split. So you'll go harder on that. So anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. I pretty much, you're in lockdown there at the moment, and you're still going ahead. Nothing's really changed too much, right? You're still buying properties, negotiating on it. And that's pretty cool that we can do that during this time as well, right?
Yeah, it is. We have to see how the auction goes on Friday. That'll obviously be a phone auction, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, that sounds better to me. I'd rather do a phone one, right?
Yeah.
And get your limit in mind there, because the worst thing about the auction is seeing the other guy in a dressy suit and you get scared off by him, or, so this is kind of great.
He doesn't know who's on the end of the phone, so that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, better not let him know if it's a property developer. They'll get scared off. That's great. No. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in today. Really enjoyed this, showing people the journey, showing, you obviously both look pretty excited. You're very confident in this role, that your company has got some great tools in it. You've known exactly all the different strategies you can offer people. And I think that's a great start of where you've come to. And I think that it's only going to get more and more exciting from here on. So, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jason.
See you later.